Welcome everyone to the Marvel of Horror, where we discuss all things old and new as it relates to the horror genre. I'm your host and fellow horror enthusiast, Bruce Marvel, and tonight me and my guests will be discussing, amongst many things, the glory that is James Whale's 1933 classic, The Invisible Man. Our guest is a graduate from the Pratt Institute, where she majored in visual communications, which has led her to her current career as Associate Creative Director. When that's not keeping her too busy, she's a lead paranormal investigator for Delaware Researchers at the Paranormal and owner and creator of Red Heart 13 Jewelry and Relics. Did I mention she's a new mom? She's the one and only, very talented, very beautiful Leila Marvel. Leila, welcome to the show,
Thanks for having me.
aka your house.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to your room.
Anytime, anytime. I'm glad we could, my people called your people, and we could get you here on such such short notice.
Thank you.
So, are you ready to begin?
Yeah.
All right. So, first off, question for every guest. Granted, we have a feature here at the Marvel of Horror. What is your introduction to horror? What's your personal introduction to horror? Is it a movie? Is it like an event? Is it something that happened? Like what was that time? What was that moment that made you?
Well, that's actually a complex question. I'll give you, because I would say the paranormal is part of, your traditional horror movies.
Oh, absolutely.
So I could go into like having growing up in my dad's house in West Grove, like that's kind of why I like the supernatural movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like my dad's house, it being was built by my great grandparents in West Grove. It was just like farmland, and yeah, always stuff happening up there, like knocks and like never saw anything like any like shadow figures or anything like that, but like kind of poltergeist activity. So I would say that kind of goes with your question. Also, movie wise, I've seen a lot of horror movies, but one of them that sticks in my head is Jaws, just from going to like Broadkill Beach with down at my uncle's house.
Broadkill Beach.
Broadkill Beach.
It just sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, and kind of had that
Slaughter Beach.
Yeah, that's like the second movie.
Yeah, that's the sequel.
That's the sequel. Yeah.
You survived Broadkill Beach, but can you survive Slaughter Beach?
Jaws. Broadkill Beach, like where it was, the house is like right on the beach, and like they would have the bonfires, just like in a movie, and like like right on the water. Just like seeing that movie when I was like maybe 10 or 11, staying down there, just remembering that like opening scene where she like goes into the water.
Well, being a fellow Delaware resident, yeah, I can see that. I can picture that perfectly. Like Broadkill Beach really looks like that, secluded beach in the beginning of Jaws, and I think they even have like that same kind of fencing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
like that kind of like always stuck in my head. We also watched Fatal Attraction there too. That always stuck in my head. It's not a horror movie, or maybe it's a real life horror.
Well, I mean, it's definitely scary.
Crazy lady.
Definitely scary.
There's the range of movies we watched there.
Yeah, I'd be terrified if I was cooking dinner and there was a rabbit in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like that's one of those movies where it's like it's a suspense thriller, or suspense thriller is like a subgenre of like the horror genre. I think it really depends who you ask.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Yeah.
So I picked The Invisible Man tonight to talk about because, unless I'm mistaken, The Invisible Man is your favorite of the old Universal movies.
Yeah, it is. I think it's one of those movies. It's not like he's like your typical monster. It's kind of like, I don't know, like he's kind of very like egotistical, but he's like maniacal. So it's like kind of makes his own type of like villain. He's like a monster in himself,
Yeah,
you know.
he's definitely the most he's the most human monster
Yeah.
because yeah, anyone would probably turn into this guy. He's got the highest death count of all the Universal like monster guys. I mean, he derails a
The
train and kills
train,
everybody
right?
on
The
it.
train, yeah.
And like I said, Claude Rains just takes the performance and puts it over the top. Um, I don't know. I think out of all the Universal movies, it's one of the ones that I don't know, kind of I don't know, maybe holds up the best. I think Creature from the
Yeah,
Black Lagoon, I think
yeah,
holds up the
yeah.
best.
I
But
would say like the for the time, like the effects were like amazing. What
yeah,
they kind of pulled off with, like the blouse.
oh yeah. Well, I think so. I was like reading about the movie because I didn't realize. Okay, so I didn't realize. I believe this movie, 1933,
Mhm.
was Claude Rains' first like American acting role.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought, yeah,
I
I
didn't know
think so.
that.
Yeah, I thought the Errol Flynn Robin Hood might have been it, but they kind of consider this, I guess, his first
Who
American
was he in that movie?
in the Robin Hood movie.
Yeah.
He was Prince John.
Oh, okay, okay. I've seen
Yeah.
that like a long time ago.
Mhm. Oh,
Okay.
great movie.
Yeah.
Probably the best Robin Hood movie.
Yeah.
I
I know.
know.
I know.
Yeah, we
I don't
know.
know.
We know Prince of
I mean,
Thieves.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, big Kevin Costner fan you are. I know a thing or two about you. Wonder why that could be.
What did they call it? Like, well, I was talking with my coworker. They wanted that calendar. Like, remember, it's like it would go
Oh
in
yeah,
your.
you okay? So
What was it called? Like,
I don't know what it was called, but it was what was the premise of the calendar?
almost like
Old men, like
that
older,
sounds gross. Like,
old, not yeah, old men, older, gentle. Was it like
oh god.
granddads you'd like to
Yeah, they were like,
have sexy time with
yeah,
or Bedford?
like who would you put like in your calendar of like older men, like celebrities or like I can't remember what it was called, like the dad. It wasn't dads.
Yeah, it
But
wasn't dads. It was like probably like the grandpops, granddads.
but it was I would say Kevin Costner would go in my calendar.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to yeah, go ahead. The Claude Rains. I was just gonna say for like he was a very handsome man, and you like his role in the movie. You don't ever really see him till the end.
No,
Like they
you're
have
right.
that like the reveal of like who Jack Griffith was.
Yeah, you're right. Now you like that's another thing. That's a testament to his acting ability because
Hmm.
yeah, that's one of the movies where just like a lot of those monsters, you know, Karloff and I mean Cheney, you got to see a little bit before he turned into the Wolfman.
Hmm.
So I mean, he was Lawrence Talbot, and you could see his acting chops before he had to actually play like the monster. But yeah, this guy had to play this character without being seen until the very end, and he does a great job of showing the slow, just downward spiral into madness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's because when you meet him in the movie, he just seems like okay, well, this guy is just like a real grumpy guy, but he's not homicidal like killer
Yeah.
like he
Right.
is at
Right.
the
It's
end of the
slowly
movie.
like that slow like turning into this like mad, you know, guy. And I think it's interesting a couple things like the theme of like trying do you think he's kind of like trying to play god like like having that power become invisible but I see like I was wanting to ask you if you thought that like that theme of like playing god like folds out into other like universal monster movies like obviously Frankenstein that seems to be like a theme that's in a lot of like horror movies where that kind of
Well,
thing.
well, yeah. It's I think
It's the baby.
it's the baby. Would you like to bring him onto the show?
Okay.
No. So I think. I mean, yeah. I think man's. I think that plays into like man's greed.
Yeah.
And I don't think even if you take that into like today's times, and
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything scarier than
Mhm.
man's greed to just what I mean, like have power he was never
Yeah.
meant to have, seek power that he doesn't need, and then actually get that power and just completely abuse it,
Abuse it. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I also think I say the same thing about like politicians. It's like if you're someone who actually seeks to have that much power, you've got to be crazy to begin with. Yeah, you got to be somewhat of a narcissist. Ask anybody. It's like if you could turn invisible, what would you do? The first thing they're going to say is
Right.
like, "Oh, I'd rob a bank."
Yeah.
I would do something illegal, not like, "Oh,
Oh,
I would
yeah,
use it
right.
to help people." No one's going to say that. And
Right.
if they
Right.
do, it's because they know someone's like they've heard this talk before that.
Yeah, or it's like, or like something like naughty, like, oh, go into the girls' locker room or whatever, something,
Well,
like that you're not supposed to do.
right, like I said, you're gonna be Kevin Bacon from Hollow Man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Nice
You might have the best intentions, but
Yeah.
that's where you're gonna end up. Well, it's funny you tie it to Frankenstein because James Whale directed
Mhm.
Frankenstein,
Yeah,
directed Invisible
the
Man,
director, yeah.
directed Bride of Frankenstein, also directed Old Dark House, which is also
Yeah.
one of your
That's a very
favorites.
good movie.
That is a good movie.
We need to watch that. Yeah, I haven't
Okay.
seen that in a long time.
Probably looks good on that 4K TV.
Super creep factor.
That's a great role for Karloff, even though
Mhm.
he doesn't talk. He's definitely scary.
Mm-hmm.
But now, the old Dark House, a great movie. But The Invisible Man. So, do you remember the first time we watched it together?
In your room
Mm-hmm.
while we were teenagers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like your TV, was it like you put like the
The
VHS
VHS.
into the TV?
Yeah. Yeah. The little tube
Oh, it's like
TV.
smaller than this box.
Yeah. It definitely would have like
Sat on this
fit
table.
on this table like
Yeah.
perfectly. It's funny because like so being like in high school and like and being really big in the Universal movies, like there wasn't a lot of high schoolers in 1999 who had like a taste for this kind of film.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like really nervous, being like, what's she gonna think when she watched this movie? Like you were already pretty like big into horror movies. That's kind of what made me gravitate to you. You know what I mean? Like showing your little brothers Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was like Dreamweaver. So yeah, I was nervous when I first I was nervous and I was excited to like actually show you this movie like back then. And here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Dad, did you ever read the book?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did read it. Okay.
I did. It was I don't remember too much of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was like I think I read it like really quick because it's not a big book,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure. I forget how much it follows the movie.
I think for what I was reading, the opening scene is pretty close.
Yeah.
Where he kind of walks in, like he's like the famous like. There's like a picture of him where he like walks into like the pub door from the cold, like snowy, like blizzard, and you're like,
you could totally tell he has like the fake nose and the glasses.
Yeah. like, who is this guy? And I always remember like the like shrieking
Oh
like
yeah,
scream
the screaming
like
woman. I
the,
think she was like. I wonder. I wonder if like because this movie's 1933. I wonder if they purposely like made her so over the top
very like hysterical, yeah.
because they had to kind of put in some sort of like comic relief
Right, right, right.
because this, you know, what I mean, like you
Ooh,
said, the effects. These
ooh.
effects in like 1933 probably just like made people's like jaw drop
Yeah,
and
yeah,
be really
yeah.
scared. So you had to put in like this over the top shrieking woman who was like so annoying.
Yeah, she
So
is
annoying.
very
I'm like
like
that's like my only hang up with this movie. I'm like, oh man,
here she
thank God
goes
she's only in the
again.
beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, she that's like unforgettable. The is it Una O'Connor? I
I
think that's
think
her
so.
name,
Yeah.
actress. Yeah. I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God. Like I'm sitting there like, man, you should have threw her down the steps, not her husband.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Is it true that the guy who plays the Joker does the voice of the Joker in the Batman series?
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, I watched yes, Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill. Mark
Yes,
Hamill.
Mark Hamill. Uh,
Is that true?
that is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
he
Okay.
did. It's a YouTube interview.
Okay.
That's how I found out about it. But it's a YouTube interview where yeah, he kind of like he when he was coming up with that voice of the Joker, Batman the
Yeah.
animated series, he channeled Claude Rains' Invisible Man
Yeah.
to kind of get like, you think I'm crazy? I'll show you I'm crazy. Like he did the whole thing. It was cool.
Yeah. And he's like, here's a souvenir. Like where he like starts throwing off like his
Oh yeah,
faces of
yeah, where he
like
starts taking
yeah,
and he starts
yeah.
laughing like,
And here's one for you.
here's one for you. Yeah. Oh, you want this? You wanted me to show you, did you?
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you, you fools.
Yeah.
Even the
Yes.
moon is frightened of me.
So
So
good.
good.
So good, Jinx.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
And that was actually I mean that was a great costume I did for
Oh yeah,
Halloween one
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah, yes. You were him for Halloween.
Yeah, it was good. Got twice, right?
Were you twice?
Two different
Oh yeah,
years.
later on you were, yes,
The one
yes.
I got a robe, I think that was a little bit closer to the color of this figure over here.
Mhm.
More authentic.
What do you have over on this table?
So I have a pop figure of the Invisible Man. I actually have this statue that Glenn Skidmore painted for me. This was something. It was part of a set that my very good friend and brother of metal, Neil Vokes, bought. It was like a Dracula and a Wolfman and stuff like that. And he was, he already had Invisible Man prior, so like it was one of those things where it's like he already had the Invisible Man, but the guy was selling like a set. And I was like, oh, well, that's a great price. Okay, well, I'll see if Bruce wants the Invisible Man. I got Glenn to paint it. Um, this is Super 7 figure.
Oh yeah, cool.
This is from the old, I guess Sideshow did these, but this is like,
Oh really?
yeah,
Sideshow?
but these were like from, I think like 2000.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I kind of forget where I got that Invisible Man, but this was actually a Christmas present from Tammy when she
Oh.
was with Rich. And it is also like a Sideshow figure, and I never took it out of the
Yeah, I was gonna say,
box.
yeah.
Maybe one day.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
that scene
It's
where he
that
gets
scene,
to the
yeah.
hotel.
Yeah, that's so
So
cool. Show him the back there. Like you can see like his it's so freaky.
there must be a way back. There must be a way back. Really cool stuff.
Very good. Very good movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. Great movie. And probably so. What do you think of the 2020 remake of The Invisible
Um,
Man?
I thought it was pretty good. Now it's not like comparing apples to apples. It was definitely
Yeah, completely different.
like premise. Definitely like high anxiety and like a nice interpretation of like modernizing, and I thought there was a nice, I guess, like if you're talking about like relationships or like abuse and stuff like that, is like
Yeah, very
that is
abusive,
be like
controlling
your that would be
relationships.
like the villain. You can tie that in that way.
I thought Lee Wannell did a. I hope I'm saying his name right. Lee Wannell did a great job with that movie as far as scripting and directing.
Hmm.
Just right from the start, it's got like a real, like you said, high anxiety vibe.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh boy.
like I said, it's pretty cool to. It's it's cool to see someone take like this idea from this long ago and really bring it into modern times, like
Yeah.
and do like such a great job. I often wonder how they're going to do that with anyone else because you
Now,
know
when you say like anyone else, is this going to be the same director?
I don't
Does
think it's going to be the
other
same director. When I say anyone else,
monsters? Oh,
when I
okay.
say anyone else, I mean like the Universal
Yeah,
characters. Like
right.
I wouldn't. To me, I've never seen a successful bringing Dracula into modern times.
Yeah.
Um,
Like the
Werewolves, yeah,
Dracula,
like
like
the Dracula,
vampires, sure, but not
but
like
not the Dracula.
The Dracula,
Yeah,
the Dracula.
like I think like Dracula 2000 had like glimmers of it. Like it
Hmm.
wasn't a bad movie. It was okay. It was actually okay for for 2000. I think 2000 like horror movies kind of had like a I don't know. There's not a lot of horror movies. I feel like that came out in that time that hold up.
Hmm.
But I really, Dracula 2000 was like probably the last honest effort. I think them trying to take like a one of the universal characters and actually bringing them into modern times and being successful.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I thought the remake of the Invisible Man was very cool.
Did that director do any other like movies I would know of?
Oh
Or is,
yeah. Well, I don't know if he. I think that was his. I want to say that was his first direct. I think that was his directorial debut.
oh, okay.
But Lee Wow wrote the Insidious movies.
Oh, oh,
He
for real?
co-wrote
Okay.
Saw, or I think he actually
Oh,
wrote
okay.
Saw with
Okay.
James Wan.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow.
mhm.
Hmm.
Actually, you know what? He might have directed. I have to double check, but he might have directed Insidious 3,
Okay.
but I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Which I thought was a creepy movie.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So you kind of referenced this earlier, but do you think like do you think like your love of horror movies is like what got you into actually being a researcher, or is that just strictly like from the stuff that happened at your dad's house?
Stuff happened at my dad's for sure. But I think like tied into like horror movies, like yeah, I'm like more drawn to like the more like supernatural, like anything with like ghosts and spirits and stuff, because I can kind of more relate to that versus like slasher movies. You know, I do like some slashers, but like they seem more like very like personal and like more creepy and like oh my like I gotta cleanse my house and definitely like the Exorcist movie would be like to your first question, that's like a movie that like will stick with me like forever.
Yeah, yeah. I feel I don't know. I feel like The Exorcist is if The Exorcist isn't as scary as it was to people, I think that's because like people aren't as involved in like the Catholic faith anymore.
Yeah.
But even a guy being kind of I don't want to say I'm like a full atheist,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to church every Sunday. Let's put it that way. Um, the Exorcist still scares the shit out of me.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's just a great movie. It's done.
It
It's
is.
you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
done very well.
And you like have like, empathy for the characters. You have some movies you just like don't give a shit about them, you
Well,
know.
no, that's the thing. Like that's why talking about like modern movies. I think modern. That's where I feel like that's where modern movie lacks.
Mhm.
Like the the characters don't come off as genuine in
Mhm.
movies anymore. And if they're not coming off as genuine, then yeah, you don't really give a shit what happens to them.
Yeah.
You're not getting emotionally invested in these
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Um, and even Sarah was talking the other night. I think The Exorcist is so scary because there is no reason why this young girl got picked.
Right. Yeah.
There's no reason why this demon decided to be in this house, pick this family, and
Mhm.
pick this person.
Mhm.
It just happened that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no backstory of why and this and that, but it's just bad things happen
Yeah.
at random,
Like, what was
and
that
you
goddamn Ouija board? No, I'm just kidding.
cannot control it.
Right.
That is scary.
That's scary.
That is
That's
terrifying.
yes.
Be
Yeah.
you can and may be a victim of random evil.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. And yeah, that's a fear we have every day we
Mhm.
get out of bed.
The Exorcist. When they did like the re-release of The Exorcist,
Oh
they
man,
like whole
I
like
do
almost like
remember.
an experience for me.
It,
We're like, yeah, we're gonna go see The Exorcist in the theater.
would never the version you that was the tagline, the version you've never seen.
Yeah.
And that's when they added like the walking,
Like reverse
the
like
reverse
crawl or
crab walk or whatever,
yeah, down the
the reverse
stairs.
spider walk down the steps.
True story. We saw it, and like I forgot just like how like intense the music with like the when she's like being possessed, like the groaning and like the fuck me, like all
Mm-hmm.
that like sounds of like just her alone, and like the music is like emotionally like got to me.
Yeah,
I started crying and I had to like close my eyes and like
this
I
was in
just
1999, by the way, for those listening.
yeah, I like had to like close my eyes and like calm myself down. Like this is like after they showed the scene of like her coming down. This is like
Mm-hmm.
later on in the movie where like they're in the bedroom and stuff. But like, yeah,
Like I said, it's and here we are. Just the movie came out what 19.
oh
I
man,
think it was
yeah.
like early set, like 1973 or something like that, early
Ooh,
70s. But
yeah,
we're still talking about it.
yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta watch the classics around Halloween. Like, let me put
Yeah.
on The Exorcist.
I would love, like, I do want to
Yeah,
sit down. I want to sit down and actually watch it because it's been so long since I actually sat down and watched that movie start to finish, especially
yeah,
like a good like copy of it on the
yeah.
TV. But yeah, I mean, it, that and it's just a really super well done film, like the
Mhm,
way it's shot.
mhm.
I mean, the story and just
Story, yeah. And like I feel for it's Damien? No, Damien the priest. What's his name?
David Karras.
Oh man, I feel for him, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
He
yeah.
did a great, and like I said, that guy, he did a great job
Mhm.
in that role. I mean, it's just a great movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you read that book.
I did read that book.
Was that like super freaky?
Yes.
Like you were in high school?
No, no. So
Okay.
funny story about that book, and because you were there. Um, I was living
Oh, okay.
in Newport,
Okay, okay, okay.
2 Harding Avenue, and that house was creepy, and we kind of thought some strange things were going on in that house
Yeah.
when I was renting there. This was probably 2001, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
2001.
Uh-huh.
Because I'll never forget, I moved in the week 9/11 happened.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was in school.
yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, you were in DCAD, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, DCAD. Yep.
So yeah, I was reading that book, and yeah, I was living alone, and I was literally just scaring the bejesus out of myself
Oh man.
because I was already like scared, like there was some weird
Entity.
Entity. Entity. There was definitely something I felt like was there, and then yeah, I'm reading this scary, terrifying novel because it is a
Yeah,
terrifying
yeah.
novel,
Oh wow.
and the novel is making you think of the movie, which is terrifying. So
Yeah.
it's just this trifecta of like scaring the shit out of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So great book,
Yeah, I like to
highly
read that.
recommend.
Yeah, I do have a copy of that, and yeah, that's on my list to read that. And what was the other one? Amityville Horror. Danny. He was like one. He's like the one of the owners of Drop Paranormal, and he gave me that book. Like first, I think it's like a first edition of the Amityville Horror
Yeah, it's very
novel.
cool.
I would like to read that too. It's like on my list.
Very cool. I have a paperback version of The Exorcist. I'd like to one day get like a really
I think I have a hard copy,
nice hardback.
but I don't think I have the jacket.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah. Worthless. Worthless.
Yeah, worthless.
Yeah. I can't remember if we talked about the effects in The Invisible Man.
We did briefly. We can go back to it.
It was like really cool, like for the time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing they were able to do. They were able to do that.
Yeah, like I don't know what you call that effect where I mean, you just saw like his blouse, like moving in the air, like you typically see that with like string or something.
Don't quote me, but I think what they kind of did as far as that is, I almost think it's like kind of animated. Like if you go back and watch it, like it's kind of
Oh
how
yeah, that's right.
like how
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do
yeah.
like in Abbott Costello meets Frankenstein when they actually show the
Mm-hmm.
bat's like anime
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
like it
Okay.
turns into Dracula.
Oh.
I think maybe they kind of did that somehow, like with that like that scene with the pants.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean even the yeah, where he's taking like the nose off, that whole scene, and you see
Yeah.
the shirt. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just it was. I wish I could go back and just watch people's reactions when they saw that for the first time.
Yeah.
It had
Yeah.
to
Oh
like just
yeah.
like people had to be like freaking out when they saw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how could you not? Because I don't think there was really anything like those kind of effects at that time when this movie came out.
Even like the reveal at the end, like when you see him, like there's a nice like transition, from him to like the human self of Jack Griffin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I wonder if that was like, I wonder if they did that like kind of reverse.
Mm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like where
Mm-hmm.
they did the first shot of him,
Mm-hmm.
and then like went back and just kind of
Oh.
lightened it
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could tell like as they got even the invisible or not the invisible man, the Wolfman scene, but the transformation scenes just got better and better
Mm-hmm.
with every movie,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and they were still pretty cool. Like even for the first one, I think the first one was like 1941. Even that first one's like still really good.
Yeah.
But I think you only see the change one time in the movie versus like when you start seeing like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman or Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein or all the
Mm-hmm.
House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula movies. I think you see that transformation more than once. I guess in the original Wolfman, they only really had like
This
the
is
shot
it.
of the budget to do that one
Yeah.
scene one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the first time he transforms into the Wolfman, you just see him and he looks at his legs, and his legs look like they're super hairy, and then it just cuts to the shot of him walking, and he's the Wolfman. Well, James Whale knew what he was doing. He knew how to
Mm-hmm.
shoot a movie. I know. I'm wondering if we should even talk about like the other Invisible Man movies.
Yeah, I've not seen any of those.
I mean, I watched. I think it's the Invisible Man Returns.
Mm-hmm.
I watched because it's a price. I have
Mm.
to watch it. But like I didn't. Yeah, I never really watched like like the Invisible Agent,
The
I think it
agent, yeah,
is, or
yeah,
like the
yeah.
Invisible. I don't think I've seen the Invisible Woman. It's always been the original, the Invisible
The
Man for me. As far
land,
as like that,
the
as far as
land.
like the Universal Invisible Man movies, it's always just been this one.
Iconic. It's like this outfit, is something else. It's so like simple,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, very
Yeah.
simple, but like I said, very recognizable,
Mhm.
very iconic, as you put it earlier.
Mhm.
And like I said, here we are talking about how many uh, incarnations of the Invisible Man have there been throughout film,
Yeah.
but it always goes back to just Claude Rains.
Yeah. Claude Rains. Yeah.
Guy's been the guy, Claude Rains, man. He's people talk about actors. They don't talk about that guy.
I've only seen a few movies like was it in Casablanca?
Yeah,
Um
played a big role in
yeah.
Casablanca. Well, like I say, he's actually so. I'm pretty sure. I know Casablanca,
Mhm.
but Casablanca, The Wolfman,
Mhm.
uh, the Errol Flynn Robin Hood. I mean, they're three movies that always get brought into any kind of like top 100
Oh yeah.
movie
Yeah, that you have to see in your
that you have to
lifetime.
see in your
Yeah.
life. I mean, he's been in a bunch of other stuff.
Highly recommend if you are into the trying to watch some of the old films, monster films.
Like I said, The Invisible Man, 1933, directed by James Whale, starring the one and only Claude Rains. Great movie. Like I said, the only critique I have is what's her name shrieking.
Oh no,
Uno,
Connor.
yeah, just being complete Jar Jar Binks
Yeah,
in
oh
the first
god.
like 10 minutes of the movie. But other than that,
And
fantastic.
what was the his like love interest in the movie? What was her name? I just remember how he said it. You know who I'm talking about?
Flora,
Flora. Yeah, he's like
yeah,
Flora. Yeah.
I'll find a way back to you, Flora.
Yeah.
There is a way back, right there in my books.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's actually I'm not I forget her name, but
Mm.
she's the old woman in Titanic.
Oh, what? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's crazy.
That's her. I'm
Wow.
pretty
She's
sure
just
that's
like
her. Yeah. God, I hate that movie.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
pretty wild.
Gloria Stewart. That's her name.
Okay, okay.
It's right here on this box.
Yeah. Yeah, Flora. Yeah.
Flora.
Just the way he talks in that, like, it's like so good. You could go from like level 1 to like level 10
Yeah,
of
like
like insanity.
his emotional
Yeah,
range
yeah.
and I love how like he's sitting there like he's 1 minute me and Matt talked about this where he's sitting there and he's like, we're going to do some things together. A few murders here and there. Like he's very
Yeah.
calm, and then
Yeah.
then he starts getting all around, and then it's like, what about Flora? Oh, yeah. Like I love that's one cool thing about the movie because I kind of am like a romantic.
Hmm.
Maybe I don't know.
I'm a romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I love how like when he hears her name, he you know what I mean? It's like a link back to who he was
Yeah,
before
like
this stuff
snap kind
started.
of
You know
snaps
what I mean?
out
And
of
it just
it.
snaps right
Yeah.
back to it, and he's like, what I mean? I think that's a really cool part of the character in this movie.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
I like that. Kind of feels like we got that's like his. If he's a kite, that's just
Yeah.
keeping him grounded,
Yeah. Yeah. Pull them
and it
back.
almost worked.
Yeah.
Worked at times, but then he overcame to the insanity, and he's derailing trains, killing people. Out of the classic Universal movie, where would you rate The Invisible Man?
Number 1
Yeah, really?
out of the Universal
Yeah.
monsters. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. That's it. I also like the Wolfman a lot. Um, but as far as like uniqueness, I would put it number one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different than like you have always like a lot of iterations of like Frankenstein and Dracula. They're like the classic monsters, which they're like amazing. But yeah, I just think it's a different type of movie.
It is. It is, and it's funny too because so the big two, Dracula and Frankenstein,
Hmm.
and then it's like well the Wolfman and the Wolfman and the Mummy and stuff, and it's like, but the Invisible Man was actually made before the Wolfman and Creature from the
Oh,
Black
right.
Lagoon. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I feel
That's
like
interesting.
I feel like even though he was one of the earlier ones, he doesn't get
Yeah.
it doesn't get the respect as the other
Yeah.
ones do.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't come off as as iconic as the other
Hmm.
ones. I guess because he's a man, not a
Right. Yeah. We're talking about not
monster.
like a monster. Right.
But
Yeah.
it's I mean, like as far as like film,
Yeah.
it's one of the I mean, it's definitely one of the better films.
It made me think of the mummy. I love watching. They are mummified human beings.
Oh yeah, what was that they were talking about? They don't want to call them like mummies, like a
They're like
we're not allowed to call them mummy anymore because that's like a derogatory term.
yeah, they're associated with as like the monster movies. So you have to like give them like they're trying to say like they are mummified persons. There's like, and then the
Who come
one
back to life and kill people?
they're only like monsters is like when they like come back
Yeah.
from the dead.
Well, I'm gonna keep calling them mummies,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna keep calling the mummy.
The
Like they're
mummy,
they're,
yeah.
they're fucking mummies. I mean,
Hmm.
come on now.
But that is also a great film.
The mummy's like my
Yeah.
least
Is your least favorite?
favorite of
Yeah.
them all.
Hmm.
I mean, I still love it,
Yeah.
but the mummy's like my if anyone's like and the mummy will be another episode.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, because I definitely want to do an episode on like the mummy movies, but like I'm more of the guy. I'm more of the guy who wants to see the slasher mummies because
Mm.
without those mummy films,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have like Jason and Michael Myers and
Right,
stuff because they're
right.
the first ones. Like, okay, here's this undead killing machine. We're shooting him. You can't stop him. He's
Yeah.
coming in and he's just a he's just a machine of death. When they start kind of getting to like that, like that era of mummy films, that's when when they become more enjoyable. Obviously, I mean, the mummy's a better story. The
Yeah,
original mummy's a
yeah,
better
story,
story,
yeah.
but it's
Hmm.
like I want to see the undead killing machines. I don't want to see Ardith Bay.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that he's like I said, Boris Karloff does a great job. It's a great movie, but yeah, like if everyone's like, "Oh man, you're gonna watch a mummy movie," it's either gonna be like the Hammer
Yeah.
mummy one, or it's gonna be like um, Curse of the Mummy's Hand. It's probably
Oh,
one.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they're all good. Like I said, they're all good. I mean, they kind of all. It's a shame they kind of all like kind of bleed together a little bit.
Mhm.
The black and white ones do, but the Christopher Lee Mummy Hammer
Yeah.
Mummy film is
Oh, yeah.
the best. No
Chef's,
disrespect, Boris Karloff,
yeah.
but
Chef's kiss.
amazing. Well, that about wraps it up here on this week's edition of the Marvel of Horror, where we discuss all things past, present, and future as they pertain to the horror genre. I'm your friend, your host, your fellow horror enthusiast, Bruce Marvel. And if there's a movie you'd like us to discuss or you just want to leave us some feedback, please do so in the comments section below. And we'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining us.